Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror 666, the podcast where we cover horror films 6 days in a row leading up to Halloween. So today we are talking about 2005's The Descent, which was directed by Neil Marshall, and I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Eric.
Dude, oh my god, this movie was so good!
I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. No idea. Went into it like I was probably C-rated movie, and I was like, damn, this was pretty. It was a ride, man. It was a ride.
I mean, I just can't believe I've never seen this movie. You know, we were 16 when it came out. I was working at the movie theater. I don't think it was at Hoyt's. So it's like, how did I miss this?
For real. Yeah, this was my first time watching it. I've heard of it, but yeah, it doesn't feel like that old. It feels like something that could have came out 2 years ago, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple little moments of CGI, which I was like, okay, but whatever. I didn't, whatever, the bats and stuff. But overall, I mean, yeah, this movie, it's pretty timeless. I mean, it's just give a brief overview, but it's just a bunch of women they seem like they're thrill seekers, they're doing river rapids in the beginning. And then in the second part, obviously they're cave diving. So they like this kind of stuff.
It's called splunking, Alec. You're splunking?
I've heard of it. I didn't know what that meant.
It's like people that are obsessed with cave stuff. Splunkers. So they're a bunch of splunkers. It's a fun word. The word of the day.
I mean, it's just a group of splunking women then. So, and they...
splunking women.
So they're having a cool time in the beginning. It's just a random river rapid trip, and it looks like fun. There's one woman that has her husband and kid there, and, they're driving home. But then, on the drive home, they get killed. They get in a car accident. The daughter and the husband get murdered by, pipes that fall off a truck, and... Yeah, so movie wakes up a year later where, this group of women are like, let's take her out. Let's try and make her feel good because her life probably really, really sucks. And so they're like, we're going to go to North Carolina and the Appalachian Trail in America, and we're going to find this one cave and we're going to do it. And they all are excited. And there's 6 of them, I think. There's 6 women, all in their 20s, early to late 20s. And I mean, they did a good job of giving everybody kind of their own little story a little bit, differentiating who everybody was. I don't know, man. It's timeless.
Yeah, it's you got the bad bitch, you got this bitch, you got this cool, and then you have the one who has the tragic past that it feels like everyone's kind of there for that, but we learn no, it's because someone wants to explore this uncharted cave, which is so dangerous.
Yeah, we find that out later that Juno, she's actually she took them to the wrong cave system because she's I want to find this new one and we're gonna name it after us and blah blah blah. So don't do that. Don't trick everybody in thinking this is because they even make that one line. I think she was Irish, and she was just oh, this is a place that has a gift shop and handrails and stuff like that, and not like that at all. This place is terrifying.
Yeah, it feels like Everest, but in a cave, right?
What do you mean?
Like a really hard climb.
Oh yeah,
or a really hard cave to navigate.
Yeah,
and very dangerous. And I guess the thrill seek is there. Could you do this stuff?
No, not even a remote chance. I love rock. I would never do this. I love indoor rock climbing. I go to a place out in LA and I really enjoy that.
It's nice when there's 6 guys holding you and there's a nice padded thing to fall on.
Yeah, there's auto belays, that's fine. But dude, I would never even do rock climbing in real rocks outside. People are don't worry, we'll put the thing in the rock and you can swing from. Nope.
Yeah.
Why would you do this?
I've been in caves, quite a few, very 100 feet under almost. Bermuda has a bunch of caves, the Crystal Caves, and then there's one at Grotto Bay I've been in, and you kind of go down all these stairs, and it's kind of it's
Eric. I've done that too. I've been to ones in Australia.
All right,
but
I'm just saying, have you been in a cave?
Yes. I'm talking climbing the cave this.
Hell to the no.
Yeah.
You know how unstable that must be to just I hope this hook holds me for another 10 seconds. Okay.
When you ask me, I've been deep inside caves with tour guides.
I've been to Chuck E. Cheese's cave. All right.
But no. I went to a really sick one in Australia. Had to take a tour guide, wear lamps on the hats, all that shit. But I would never climb. Climbing is different than visiting.
Well, even that, dude, wasn't that kind of scary? It's wow, this cave's been here for 1 million blah 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 years. Like, would be a shame if today's the day this thing collapses. Like it someday it will, you know. So could be this random Thursday.
Well, the thing that stood out to me about, my experience in this movie is how dark it is. They're like, all right, we're going to shut off all the lights. And they do that. And there's literally, it's completely pitch black. Like,
Yeah.
100%. So imagining them in this cave where that's a cave that's like, yeah, it's a tourist attraction, like, and there's no light. So this is one where no one's supposed to be and there's no light. So it's like, yeah, no, fuck that. Absolutely.
Yeah, big time.
No,
Big time.
visiting's fine. I'll visit. But anyways, really quick, because we're talking about this, I thought maybe, and I don't know what date this came out, but I thought maybe the Man Bear Pig episode might have been inspired by this movie.
That adds up. I literally was thinking of, when I just said like Chuck E. Cheese's cave, I was thinking of like that Blackbeard's cave that Cartman finds, remember? With the fake treasure.
Yeah, because they're cave diving and it collapses and they get trapped. I mean, there's no monsters, but I was like, this kind of came out. This came out in 2006, so it's like it's kind of pretty close to this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that inspired it
Yeah.
at all. Also, there's like, I don't know if you've ever seen Blue Crush, but there's some big like Blue Crush vibes with like a bunch of tough badass women that like wake up early and go on an adventure. And there's that one friend that's like way too awake, like, come on, get up, the sun's up, and like freaking out.
Yeah, these women are all like hungover and just like, God damn it.
But there's always that one.
But you saying this though, it actually made me think. I was like, this is a perfect example of like a fully formed female strong lead. Like nobody cares. There's no love interest. They're not talking about men really almost at all. I mean, it's just like, and nobody cares. It's like, yeah, they're just like, it doesn't matter at all that they're women, men, who cares? Like, it's just a good movie. So this is one people can point to and just be like, yep, there's an example of a great female-led, amazing film, and it's just a good movie.
Yeah, it could have been a mix. It could have been men and women together too. Like it could have been like a group.
Yeah,
more couples. Like it didn't matter at all.
But that's the thing. I don't know. I thought this was a good example of just like, yeah, this is a great movie, and it didn't matter at all what the genders of the people were. It's just a sick movie. But yeah, so they get to the cave and immediately shit just starts going kind of wrong. Like, they figure out like, where the fuck are we? And there is a cave collapse. Like, even though they're like, trying to slither their way through these tiny, tight spaces, eventually the cave does collapse and they figure out that they're not in the right spot. So that sucks.
Then they leave a bag behind, right? Like of supplies and flares, which is like even more terrifying.
Yeah, so they are very underprepared for the situation, and they said they told like the guard or the Coast Guard, not the Coast Guard, but like the National Park Guard or whatever, we're here, but they're not where they're supposed to be, so no one's going to be looking for them. Which I would think, like,
so
I don't know, because obviously I don't do this kind of stuff, but like, aren't there satellite cell phones? Would those not work in that? I don't know. Or walkie-talkies?
Well, think about where you are. You're 100 feet underground, even further. Like, could a satellite reach that? I mean, we're used to it reaching the land.
What about, I mean, like, I think there are phones that work, like, in areas that normally don't, but I'm also, like, walkie-talkies. Like, you wouldn't think they'd have, like, I don't know. But anyways, doesn't matter.
Well, they should definitely tell someone, like, hey, by the way, I'm doing this cave, and just, like, if we're not back tomorrow, like, we're in this spot. They didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. You
gotta have a spotter. Like, 127 days later, what was that James Franco movie? He didn't tell anyone. He just like, I'm just gonna go out in the desert and start riding around, and then
So that was definitely their first mistake, was just not having any way out of this. And then it collapses, of course. They lose half their gear. And the thing is, like, they don't think anybody's ever been to these caves before, but they do find this one spot where they're like, I guess we got to get across here. And they find hooks that have already been put in place. So people have been here before.
And that was probably one of my favorite parts, is when they found that hook. And she's like, this is a hook that's like 100 years old. Like, these are old hooks.
Yeah, so wouldn't trust those either. But yeah, so they do that. They get across, and I don't know what part, but I sent you and Joe, because Joe Testa was going to be a guest on here. So I sent you guys this picture, but there's a scene very early on, like way before we know there's monsters or anything, where they take a flare and they light it, and it kind of is this like large shot of the cave, and you see this little white face in the tiny little bottom of the left-hand corner of the screen, and like nothing would lead you to look there unless you just happen to look there. And I love little shit like that in this movie.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about this movie, like we didn't, I mean, I knew there's monsters, but like you just looked at it, you're like, wait, what the fuck was that? And then you find out later there's a whole system of monsters in there, and these are just tiny little things that you aren't they, you know, they don't focus on that. Anyways, I just thought that was cool.
What'd you think? So these guys are like bat people, right?
They say they hear based on sonar, and they look kind of like Nosferatu. So yeah, it's like, I don't know, vampire bat.
Kind of vampire-ish. They go out at night to hunt.
Yeah.
I got that, but also, do you remember like when they first get in the caves, like what happens? It's what's her name, and all of a sudden, all these bats just come out of nowhere. So it's like, ooh, bat people.
Yeah.
What do we call that? They're bat people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and the thing is, like, they are, first of all, unbelievable special effects, right? The makeup, dude. This is like Lord of the Rings status. Like, they look like orcs. Like, they really do.
They probably use the same makeup stuff.
It was
there's no
so
doubt.
sick. So the makeup is amazing. There's a couple CGI shots, but most of it is the makeup. So they did a really good job. The thing is, I was thinking, like, you know, they are very scary looking. Like, obviously, you don't want to fight these things, but they don't seem that strong. Like, obviously, they have to have muscle because they're climbing on the walls and all this stuff, but they're eating terrible. Like, they're, you know, barely getting any nutrients. So, you know, these women take them down fairly easily once they, like, get over the fear of what they are. But, like, I feel like, you know, you could take one, like, one-on-one in, like, a fist fight. I feel like most people could take them.
Well, they also can't see, and they kind of learn that. So once you learn that they can't see, then it's like, yeah, let's just stay still and then
which
them.
I liked that about this movie, because I was like, okay, like at first, like they seem like, oh fuck, like these guys are probably so strong that they're not gonna be able to beat them, and then they slowly are able to beat them, and then they start kicking their asses, and I was like, oh, I love that. Like, I don't know, like they learned how to fight back, and I really thought that was the cool angle.
Yeah, and then we go from that, like where they're fighting back, and all of a sudden Juno, who's the one that tricked everyone to go in this freak cave, accidentally swings and hits someone in the neck or whatever.
Yeah.
One of their team.
Beth,
yeah, and just leaves her behind.
That was so fucked up. Yeah. So, you know, right, the first time they like really fight back, she has this like pickaxe and she kills one of the things, the creatures, and then she hears something behind her and she goes to swing, and yeah, she stabs her friend right through the throat and then leaves her there. And she's like, ah, and she's later like, you're probably dead, and leaves her. And it's like, what the fuck? So later in the movie, yeah, like the lead woman goes and finds her, and she's like, yeah, like she did this, and also she was like having an affair with your dead husband. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, out of nowhere, right? I was like, damn, okay, double down.
Yeah, nice little like twist there. Kind of just added a little bit of drama to an already horrible situation. So, but yeah, before all that, like, you know, there's one scene where they have the camera and they're basically like, they're using night vision, and they can see like they're in like, you know, basically the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. There's just bones everywhere. And they're all kind of like, what's going on? They start screaming for help or whatever. And then they turn around and immediately there's a creature standing right behind them. I was like, that is such a good shot. And it scared the shit out of me. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematography in general, like for a movie that's this dark, they do a good job of being like, let's not make it obnoxiously dark. Let's make sure people can see what's going on. But at the same time, you get that sense of claustrophobia in this cave a lot. And that's tough to do without light.
Yeah, I mean, they had like glow sticks and flares and a couple little things in the camera. So like, yeah, you're right. Like it made you not be like, what is this? What's going on? And actually, I don't know if you know this, this was actually all a set that they built in Pinewood Studio in London. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's, dude, like it looks so cool. Real. Like it looks like a real, I mean, obviously it would be way too dangerous to do this in a real cave, but it looks fantastic. So I don't know, man. I really liked this movie.
Yeah, same. I was pleasantly surprised by it for sure.
I almost like immediately I was like, fuck, I kind of want to watch the second one.
What's the second one about?
I don't know. I don't know anything. So I was like, God, I kind of want to see this. You know, because it ends, I guess we'll jump to the ending super quick, but it ends with Sarah, the lead woman who had her husband and daughter killed and all that stuff. She escapes.
The only one to escape. She's the only one left.
Yeah, and I guess before that, like her and Juno are the only two left, and then she basically looks at Juno and she's like, you fucked my husband, and you left our best friend to die after you stabbed her in the neck. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you.
And you tricked us into coming into this crazy cave. So that's 3 strikes, buddy.
Yeah, and your name is Juno. Like, that's stupid. Anyways,
terrible.
So she takes the, no, I'm kidding. But she takes the, like one of the axes and she stabs Juno in the leg. She looks exactly like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, which got blood on her face. And she stabs her right in the leg. And she runs out and the monsters come and they kill Juno. We think maybe she's in the sequel. I don't know, but then I'm sure she's dead.
Oh, if she's not dead, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So then Sarah crawls through like a bunch of bones and she finds an escape route. Like, holy shit. And she comes out of the like ground or whatever, and she gets in a car and she drives, and like we think she's going to escape. And then I don't know. Is it a dream? Because like
that was one of the coolest parts too, to the ending.
Really?
Like, I feel like that's how I would react if I got out of a situation like that. Like, I don't care what's going on. I'm out of the situation. I am running, kind of like in Black Phone when the kid gets out and like just runs as fast as he can. Remember, like situations like that are crazy, but she just runs, gets in the car, and just, I need to get as far away as fast as possible. And I feel like anyone who's been put through something like that, totally.
Oh no, I love that. I love all that whole sequence. I'm talking about the final shot of the movie where she like turns back and all of a sudden it's Juno like standing there dead, and you're like, wait, what? And then she screams and it's over. I didn't like that.
Yeah, was it a dream then?
Well,
like, she's been having dreams. We've seen that at the cabin or whatever, right?
Yes, we have been seeing it at the cabin. She has like the dreams of her daughter and like, it turns into the creature, blah, blah, blah. But the American version is the one that we saw. So she gets in her car and she drives away, and like she, the Juno's there at the end and it's a jump scare. The UK version, the original version, was apparently it's her having like, I don't know, like a birthday cake with her daughter. And she's like, happy birthday or whatever. And then it like cuts back and it's Juno looking at a flame, and she's just like pretending the flame is the birthday candle, and all these creatures start coming and kill her. And they're like, and the people in the UK were like, this is really sad. And they changed it.
Yeah, that is pretty sad. I mean, I think we could have just done without the jump scare at the end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so too. Like, just kind of have a drone shot or something, pull away from the car, and the music plays, and it's just like The Descent or something like that.
You know what it kind of reminds me of too? You ever see Gravity with Sandra Bullock?
I never did.
Kind of ends like that, where she kind of gets away, and it's like doesn't end with any jump shit. But not to spoil too much.
She just did.
Something happens at the end, and it kind of ends like this. That's all. But
yeah, I mean, I loved. Yeah, the escape was great. Like that, and like her driving away and like slamming through the mud. Like, yeah, that was sick as hell. But then the little jump scare at the end, I was like, man. But anyways, like really good movie, really believable. Special effects are top notch for the time.
Pretty low budget, right? So
very, very low budget, dude. So it was. I mean, this was an indie film, a British indie film, and then it got picked up, and distributed and stuff. But it was made for £3.5 million, and it made $57 million. So yeah, made a lot of money.
Hell yeah!
Actually, really quick, the director Neil Marshall, he is the guy that did Dog Soldiers. Remember that movie we did?
Oh yeah, dude, that movie was sick.
Yeah, so that was one of his movies before this. So, dude, really original movies. Like, this is what we need right now, dude, is literally...
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. If this came out now, I'd probably crush it.
Well, I'm just, like, when I really just... here's my proposal. Hollywood, if you're listening, here's my proposal. You take 5 years, okay? No remakes, no sequels, no reboots, no nothing that has already been made, no intellectual properties that exist. You take your $300 million that you're giving to, like, Indiana Jones and Little Mermaid and all that stuff, and you give it $30 million to 10 directors, 10 unknown directors. You give them $30 million. Come on. One of those is going to be a huge hit, and that's going to, then you can reboot it in 20 years. But you guys need a fucking 5 years of a break of fresh slates and stuff like this. You got to get directors like this and make movies like this right now.
Yeah, not to get into like Disney and Marvel, but Marvel is struggling and dropping the ball. And Disney and the live action remakes, it's like, all right, like, well, I was like, did they do a live action Pinocchio? And they did with Tom Hanks's Geppetto. I was like, that exists.
Yeah. Like, they did Peter Pan this year too. Nobody saw it. They're just they're doing Lady and the Tramp too. And it's like, how are you even going to do this? No, I'm kidding. They're not doing that. But
no, they did Lady and the Tramp, Alec.
They did a live action one?
Yes.
No, they did.
Google it. You're gonna shit.
Wait, hold on.
Do it right
I'm
now.
Gonna Google it right now. Hold on. Lady and the Tramp. No, they didn't.
Live action.
Wait. Oh my God. 2019. What? I was kidding. Oh my God. I swear to God, I did not even know this movie existed. Holy shit. Disney, you have lost your grip. I didn't even know this movie existed. Oh my
I'll say
god.
one that I really like that they did is it's not like a live action remake. It was Cruella. It was the 101 Dalmatians like
Yeah,
prequel to
yeah,
how Cruella became. It was really good,
yeah.
and I'm like, you need to do more stuff like that rather than a shot for shot of Lion King in like live action.
Anyways, we'll get back to this movie, but yeah, that's my pitch because this movie is
Totally.
original. This movie, it was utilizing the CGI of the times, but also relying heavily on good makeup, which is like, hey, Lord of the Rings did it 2 years ago. Why don't we try and make it good? And they did a great job. I saw some behind the scenes footage too of the guys like when they're getting their makeup done, just like smoking cigarettes and singing and stuff and like having fun. So,
Everyone's British
oh yeah,
or
yeah. Yeah, it was a British movie. I thought it was Australian, but yeah, it's British. And
it's in makeup. Like, we're going to the boozer after this. It's like, yeah, we'll go to the boozer.
yeah, I don't know. Overall, I thought it was a really good movie. It's interesting to see it, from a different point of view. So it's like foreigners coming to America, but it's still about the foreigners. So like when they're listening to the radio and they're like, it's either like Jesus stuff or like hee haw rock and roll or something like that. Like I don't know. I liked hearing their perception of our stuff.
True. Did you have a favorite part of the movie?
I mean, probably when they're using the night vision and that creature appears behind them. I thought that shot was so sick. And then there's the shot, which is I think from the poster of her coming up from that like blood pit or blood pool or whatever that was. Like
Yeah,
that's
like Apocalypse Now kind of.
yeah. What do you think that pool was? You think it was blood?
I'm trying to think it's like tar
Tar?
more than blood, like a oil kind of thing that's red. That like I don't know, like a discolored pool, not blood. Why would it be blood? That's so much blood.
I don't think it's blood. I think it's like a soup that they make where they just like take like the animal parts and throw it in there, and it's just like they like take a scoop out of it and like drink it and shit.
Oh, she must stink like I can't imagine. Or it could just be like rain runoff from all those like bones like that are piled up.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense. That does make sense because yeah, it's right there. And that was the only like female creature too. That one had like hair. It looked like the thing
Right.
from Legend. It looked like that.
Yeah, I honestly, that's one thing I was gonna say at one point was that it kind of reminded me of like the Goblin Legend people.
Yeah, yeah,
I did enjoy the show. I love the scenes about like, oh, people were here once before, but like they failed clearly. The old hook was really cool, but also that cave painting, which makes it feel like, oh, were there like natives here?
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, yeah, they exactly. They find the cape and like, don't waste the flare on it, and they're looking at the
But
drawings.
that's when they find out like, oh, there's another exit, right?
I mean, that's so vague. I mean, they're just kind of like, there's two triangles. That means that there's no escape.
I know. It's like it could obviously not be that at all, but it's like, wait, there's a triangle. That's where we came.
Yeah.
From. There's a triangle on the exact opposite side.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was kind of like, okay.
It's cool though.
I also like I'm glad they did this because otherwise like that would have sucked if she got to the car and it was locked. But like you guys are pretty ballsy leaving your car just like with the keys in it unlocked on the side of the road, like a rental too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that obviously she had that to escape. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I genuinely have no idea where this goes, but what would you pitch for a sequel?
I would just do a totally different version of Descent and do instead of like a cave, be a cave diving where it's underwater and they're all in scuba gear. Obviously, the dialogue would be kind of hard to do. It'd be more muffled unless they have like the talkie headset, like kind of scuba gear. But imagine it's more like fish people or like evil mermaid people,
So,
and they're in underwater. I think that's so scary.
so like Turistas, but with these creatures.
Oh yeah, Teresa's kind of did that.
But not with-
in
there's no
some ways.
creatures.
But that was all people.
Yeah.
There's no creatures. Yeah, with creatures that would be kind of cool. Like an unexplored Atlantis or cave or something would be kind of cool.
It just does what Avatar does. It's like, all right, the first one is the tree people, this is the water people, the third one's like the flying people.
Well, for me, cave diving. I mean, depending on the cave, I think that's the last thing I would ever do. Like I've jumped out of a plane, tandem with someone on my back. I've done like bungee jump stuff and gliding and all kinds of fun, kind of adventurous stuff. But cave diving, scuba gear in like narrow passages where your line could easily become tied and you're done.
Yeah, no, dude, I don't do any of that.
I think I was in college. I went through this site called Imgur, and I had like the top 10 worst cave dives. I like went down a rabbit hole. I didn't sleep that night, man. Like there was one where like someone went to retrieve his friend's body in the cave, like an underwater cave, and like as he's moving his friend's body, all this dust and stuff comes up and it just blurs him out and he gets tangled, and it's video of him like running out of air. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. But I ended up like freaking out. Also, I sent you the Nutty Putty Cave last night. That story.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Oh, like think about that though. Like you're exploring a cave. You're good. It's safe. It's charted. He finds one thing that he thinks is I think it's called the birth canal. It's like a really tight passageway, and he goes through it, but he gets stuck, and he's upside down. His head is down hundreds of feet, and apparently there was a rescue effort that almost happened, but they're like, if we pull him out, all his bones are gonna break. Like the way he's positioned in this cave, it's just gonna rip his arms off and stuff.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, it's like, then don't put yourself in them scenarios. You know what I'm saying, dog?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to look it up, it's called the Nutty Putty Cave, and yeah, a guy got stuck, and they couldn't get him out, and
John Jones was his name. It was 2009, and they pretty much just like blew up the cave and like closed it off because it became a hazard.
Yeah, and it's really messed up. I read too on the Wikipedia, it's like people have gone and like vandalized the memorial they put up there. I was like, what? Like that is
It's probably old climbers or old cave people. They're like, oh, it's his fault they closed. This is nature. I'm like,
it's not his fault. Like, I don't know.
That sucks, dude. That's like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There are so many caves in America, and like the Grand Canyon has caves that people, like the government has like blocked off and stuff like that. Like, I just, I don't know why people need to explore these things. Like, even if you found like a treasure chest, which you're not gonna find, but if you did, what are you gonna do? Carry it back with you? Like,
that's what Carmen does in that episode. Spoiler.
Yeah, it's South Park. But like in reality, if you're like, hey, let's go do this, like, dude, all right, really quick, and then we'll wrap this up. I saw this one video. I can't remember where it was. Oh, I think it was in South America. This guy traveled abroad when he was in college. He found this area in South America with this cave, and he like fantasized about doing cave diving in it, or not cave diving, cave climbing in it, spelunking for years. And he went back in his 40s, and he found the spot. He got a local to bring him there, and he climbed down it. And when he like had to get to the bottom before he could climb back up, apparently something with his gear. So he starts going down, and dude, there were like hundreds of thousands of black widow spiders just lining the walls on all of his gear, on absolutely everything. And he had to go to the bottom, which was like 40 feet down, and then back up. He had to climb, and dude, just literally head to toe black widow spiders.
Nah,
yeah,
just not.
I know,
Don't do that.
I know. He survived. He actually survived.
Good for him.
I know. Just
do it again. That's why he's back. He wants to do it again.
But yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what's going to be down there? You thought about it for 20 years. I bet there's something down there. It's like, yeah, there's spiders, man.
A lot of spiders.
But anyways, yeah, man. I mean, seriously, one of the best horror movies of the 2000s, I think. I mean, original, scary, short, fun. Good movie.
A good ride. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's a good ride.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, anyways, you ready to spin the old wheel, Eric?
We shall. Spinning! Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
All right. So a fun one. A fun one that is a little different than this. But
A comedy.
Yes.
A nice palate cleanser. That's what we need.
Yeah, I know. Audition. Well, Audition was the way. Yeah. Anyways. All right. So we actually have Dom Bergers coming on. First time in a long time he's done one that's not Stephen King. So that'll be fun to hear.
I'm curious how he's going to bring Stephen King into this now.
Yeah, let's see if he can. All right. Well, we will see everybody tomorrow with Tucker and Dale versus Evil.